The sound of your own hurried footsteps echo in the university hallway, a frantic rhythm against the polished floor. You walk quickly, your head snapping back and forth, scanning the faces of the passing students. Were they looking at you? Did they know? Your breath came in a shallow puff in the cold air, yet a feverish heat prickled under your skin. Your heart was a wild, frantic drum against your ribs, so loud you were sure everyone could hear it, threatening to explode from the pressure. Your destination was the only thing in your mind, Professor John's office. And then you saw him. One of the office door was open, and there he was, leaning against the doorframe. Your heart didn't just skip a beat, it seemed to stop, entirely freezing in your chest. It was Professor John Jungkook, your husband. His dark, serious eyes found yours, and his brow frowned in immediate confusion. Miss Shin, he asked, using your formal title as was proper on campus. What happened? Your throat tightened, dry and useless. Jungkook, you stammered before quickly correcting yourself. I mean, Professor Jeon. Without waiting for an invitation, you brushed past him into the office. He looked past you into the hallway, his protective instinct kicking in, searching for whatever or whoever had spoken you so badly. Seeing no one, he closed the door with a soft click. You were already sneaking into the chair in front of his desk, your hands trembling as you reached for a bottle of water on his desk, drinking greedily to steady your nerves. He was at your side in an instant, dropping to his knees in front of you, so his eyes were level with yours. The concern on his face was so deep, it was like a physical edge. Wyan, he said, his voice low and urgent, stripping away all the formalities. What happened? Why are you so scared? You shook your head, unable to form the lie properly. No, it's not like that. Don't lie to me, he said, his voice soft but firm. He reached out his thumb, gently brushing your cheek. Look at you. It looked like you just saw a ghost. You finally met his gaze. His face was so map of everything you loved. His concern, his intelligence, his focus on you. He knows you. He knows you better than anyone. Or at least he thinks he does. And right now he could see right through your fragile composure. Wyan, he whispered, his hand moving to cradle the back of your neck. A familiar, comforting weight. You know you can tell me everything, right? His words were a key, turning in a locked part of your soul. Tears, hot and immediate, welled in your eyes. Yes, a part of you screamed. I can tell you everything. But the fear was cold, hard stone in your stomach, heavier than your love in this moment. You couldn't, you just couldn't. To hide your trembling face, you bent forward, wrapping your arms tightly around his neck, pouring your face into the soft fabric of his sweater. He didn't hesitate, his strong arms encircling you, holding you tightly against his solid frame. Just tell me what happened, he murmured into your hair, his voice laced with worry. You forced the words out with a weak, pathetic excuse. Nah, nothing. I just got my periods. So because of the pain, I was stressed, and I got scared for a moment. Jungkook pulled back just enough to look at you, his eyes searching yours. He wasn't fully convinced, but your tears were real. The physical distress was a cover for your emotional state. Hey, he said softly, take some rest, okay? Stay here. He leaned in, pressing his warm, soft lips first to one of your tear-dammed eyelids, then the other, a gesture so tender it made your heart break all over again. Finally he kissed your forehead, a silent promise of safety. Thank you. You whispered, the word tasting like ash in your mouth. There is no need, he replied, his voice a gentle rumble. Just stay here and rest. I have one class and after that I'll come back. Then there's your class. You can skip it if you want. You can go. I'm going to stay here for a while. You said, desperate for him to leave so you could carry out the very thing that was tearing you apart. Are you sure? He asked. One last check. You can go, you repeated, forcing a small shaky nod. He nodded slowly, finally accepting it. He rose to his feet, collecting a stack of books and files from his desk. He leaned down one last time, pressing a kiss to the top of your head, and gave you a small, reassuring smile before walking out, closing the office door firmly behind you. The moment the latch clicked, the air rushed out of your lungs in a heavy, shuddering sigh. You were alone, your eyes still blurry with the unshed tears, began to scan the room. The neat shelves, the organized desk, the locker drawer held the final exam papers, the reason you were here. Jungkook walked down the corridor towards his lecture hall, his steps measured and firm. Students parted for him, bowing their heads and offering a respectful greetings. Good morning, Professor John. He acknowledged them with a slight automatic nod, but his mind was a world away. Trapped back in his office, his wife's pale, terrified face was etched behind his eyes. He trusted you with his life. He truly did. But a cold silver of doubt had been driven into his thoughts like a splinter. Your excuse had been flimsy, your panic too raw for something as ordinary as menstrual cramp. You were holding something, and the not knowing was a physical itch under his skin. As he turned a corner near the student lounge, a hushed but aimed conversation reached his ears. He wasn't trying to hear, but his senses were on a high alert. And then he heard it, clear as a bell, his wife's name, Ryan. He stopped dead in his tracks. His entire body went still. Two male students were huddled by the vending machine. Their backs was to him. Boy 1, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Wine would agree to it. It's too risky. Boy 2, a low, confident chuckle. And this time, I know she will. She doesn't have a choice. The words doesn't have a choice echo in Jungkook's mind, twisting a knot of worry in his stomach into a tight coil of anger. He turned slowly, his polished dress shoes making no sound on the aluminum floor as he approached them. The two boys, sensing a presence, turned around. Their casual posture instantly shifted to a color drain from their faces. As they recognized their professor standing there, his expression unreadable, but his eyes burning with a dark, intense energy. They swallowed hard. Jungkook's voice was dangerously quiet, a low thrum that demanded answer. What did you just say? What did you mean? Wine would agree. The boys exchanged a panicked glance. A nervous, shaky laugh escaped Boy's two lips, a pathetic attempt to diffuse the tension. Sir, it's nothing like that. We were just... The exams are coming, you see. We were talking about group study session. Boy 1 jumped in, his words trembling out too fast. Yeah, since Wine is good at her studies, we were thinking of inviting her to help us. Jungkook didn't blink. He stood there, his imposing presence silencing the busy hallway around them. His sharp eyes scanned their faces. Nothing the way they couldn't hold. His gaze, the nervous twitch of a hand moving to rub the back of a neck. They were lying. He knew it with every fiber of his being. The pieces didn't fit. Their previous words had carried a weight of threat, not the light-hearted planning of a study group. For a long, heavy moment, he just stared them down, letting the silence scream his disbelief. Then, without another word, he turned on his heels and walked away, his pace quieter and more purposeful than before. The moment his back was turned, the boys looked at each other, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and relief. The dangerous moment had passed, but the professor's silent reaction was more terrifying than any shouting could have been. Back in the hallway, Jungkook's mind was racing, the image of his scared wife now intertwined with the slow, nervous smile of those two students. The connection was there. He could feel it. And he was no longer just a concerned husband. He was a professor on the trail of a mystery, and his wife was at the very center of it. Jungkook sat in the driver's seat of his car, BRKEN, a clear view of the university's main entrance. The engine was off, the silence inside the vehicle a stark contrast to the chatter of the students flooding out of the building, his finger tapping a slow, restless rhythm on the steering wheel. 15 minutes. It had been 15 minutes since your class ended, and you still hadn't appeared. His mind, already clouded with the memories of your panic attack in his office and the unsettling conversation he overheard, began to churn with a fresh unease. Your behavior over the past week flashed through his thoughts. The distract looks, the forced smiles, and the way you jump at sudden noises. It was all adding up to a picture he didn't like. Then he saw you. You emerged from the grand entrance, your head bowed, your step hurried, as you were trying to escape the building. You didn't glance towards the parking lot, didn't see him waiting, but someone else saw you. Two figures ditched themselves from a crowd and moved to interrupt you. Jungkook's body went straight. It was them, Nick and Sam, the same two boys from the hallway. His grip tightened on the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. He watched, his professor instinct and his husband protectiveness colliding. They were talking to you, their posture casual, but with the underlying intensity. You weren't responding, you stood perfectly still. Your gaze fixed on the ground, your shoulders slumped in a posture of defeat or fear. It wasn't a friendly chat about assignments. It was a confrontation, a urge to get out, to stood over and put himself between you and them, surged through him. He was about to push his car door open when you suddenly turned your head. Your eyes, wide and anxious, scanned the parking lot before they landed directly on his car. A flicker of something, relief, panic, crossed your face. You quickly said something to the two boys and then walked towards the car. Your pressed brake. Jungkook's eyes remained locked on Nick and Sam over your shoulder. They watched you go for a moment, share a look between themselves, and then melted back into the crowd of students, disappearing from view. The passenger door opened and you slid in, the cool outside air rushing in with you. You offered him a smile, but it was a fragile thing not reaching your eyes. Sorry to keep you waiting. He forced his own smile in return, a mask of calm over his rising alarm. It's okay. He started the engine, the low burr of feeling the tense silence. How are you feeling now? Just a headache, you said, leaning your head back against the seat and closing your eyes. Otherwise, I'm fine. The car pulled out to the parking lot and merged into the city traffic. The quiet between you was heavy, thick with unspoken words. He could feel the nervousness energy radiating from you. Your fingers were twisting together in your lap, and your breathing was just too little shallow. He kept his eyes on the road, but his every sense was focused on you. He had to ask. He couldn't hold it any longer. His voice was calm, but left no room for evasion. Ryan, he began breaking the silence. What were they saying to you? You flinched just slightly. Who? Nick and Sam. He said, his tone making it clear he knew exactly who he was talking about. You hesitated and then paused. Was a confession in itself. Oh, them, they. You let out a shaky breath. They were just asking for an assignment copy from the last week class. The lie landed between them was the weight of a stone. Jungkook's blood ran cold, his doubt solidified into a cold, hard certainty. In the hallway they had spoken about you agreeing to something, about you having no choice, and now you were telling him it was about a simple assignments. The stories didn't match. They were lying, and now so were you. He didn't press further, he simply nodded, his jaw clenched tight. The fear for you was now a living, breathing thing in the car with them. He was scared of what they had on you. Scared of why you felt, why you couldn't trust him with the truth. But one thing was crystal clear in his mind. He knew what he had to do. He couldn't just be a worried husband anymore. He had to find out what was threatening his wife. The silence in the apartment was heavier than the fancy dining table. Jungkook had carried up 3 flights of stairs. You were pushing food around your plate. The clink of your fork was the only sound. Every nerve in your body felt raw, stretched thin by a week of terror and the suffocating weight of the cigarette you carried. The encounter with Nick and Sam, followed by Jungkook's quick probing question in the car, had pushed you to the edge. Jungkook watched you, his own meal growing cold. He saw the tension in your shoulders, the way you refused to meet his eyes. The kind, concerned husband in him wanted to wrap you in a blanket and tell you everything will be okay. But the logical, observant professor in him saw the cracks in your story, and he knew he had to look behind them. He put his own fork down, the sound making you flinch. Ryan, he began, his voice carefully neutral. We need to talk about what happened today. You didn't look up. Nothing happened. I told you, I have a headache. This isn't about the headache, he said, little firmer. This is about Nick and Sam. In the car, you told me they were asking for an assignment copy. Your heart hammered against your rib. Yes, they were. Then why? Jungkook leaned forward, his eyes intent on you. Then why did they have a complete different story when I spoke to them earlier? They were talking about you agreeing to something, about you having no choice. The carefully constructed dam inside you began to splinter. Fear, frustration, exhaustion mixed into a toxic brew of anger. It was anger you couldn't direct at your blackmailers. So you found the closest, safest target, the man who loved you. You finally looked up, your eyes flashing. So what? You're interrogating me now? You're spying on my conversation with other students? Jungkook's eyes widened, slightly taken aback by your venomous tone. I'm not interrogating you. I'm worried about you. I saw how they were talking to you. I saw how scared you looked. And now the stories don't match. Just tell me the truth. Are you helping them with something? I'm not helping them. You screamed, the words tearing from your throat as you slammed your hand on the table, making the plates jump. All the fear of the past week come pouring out in a torrent of misplaced rage. Why can't you just leave it alone? Why do you have to question everything? Can't I just have a bad day without you turning it to a Professor John, the investigator? He stood up now, his own frustration beginning to show. This isn't me being a professor. This is me being your husband. I've seen my wife falling apart and now she's pushing me away. She's lying to me. Tell me what's wrong. Let me help you. Help me? You shriek, getting to your feet. Your chair scraping harshly against the floor. You can't help me. Just stop asking questions. Just leave me alone. Tears were streaming down your face now, hot and angry. You were shaking, your chest heavy. You saw the hurt and the confusion in his eyes, and it only made you feel worse, fueling your anger. Jungkook stood frozen in the wrecked edge of the dinner table. He looked at your full plate, the empty space where you had been sitting. The echo of your scream hung in the air. This wasn't you. This wasn't the woman he married. The fear in his heart solidified into a cold, hard dread. This was more than a stress, more than a headache. Something was terribly, terribly wrong, and you were trapped in it alone. He knew chasing you, demanding you more answer would make things worse. He gave you few minutes. The silence in the apartment felt like a physical presence then. With a heavy heart, he quietly cleared the table, his movements slow and deliberate. He washed the dishes, the mundane task, a desperate attempt to find some normalcy. Finally, he walked to the bedroom door. He didn't knock, he simply opened it and stepped inside. You were lying on your side on the bed, facing away from the door, your body curled into a tight defensive ball. He could see your shoulders trembling with the silent sobs. His heart shattered, all his frustration, confusion melted away, replaced by an overwhelming need to protect you, even from himself. He didn't say a word. He just lay down behind you on the bed, his large, warm body curving around you. Slowly, carefully, he wrapped his arm around you, pulling you tight against his chest. You stood for a second, then collapsed into his embrace. Your silent cries become audible red sobs. I know, he whispered into your ear, his voice thick with emotion. I know it's the pain. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I pushed you. I shouldn't have. I hate seeing you like this. He was giving you an out. He was blaming it all on the fictional period pain, offering you way to save face, to end the fight, without having to tell the truth. His kindness was a knife in your heart, fresh hot tears leak from your eyes, soaking into his sleeve. You couldn't bear his compassion when you were betraying him. I'm sorry, you choked out, your voice muffled against his arm. You turned in his embrace, burying your face in his chest, clinging to him as if he were the only solid thing in the world that collapsing around you. I'm so sorry for shouting. I didn't mean it. I'm just so tired. I'm so sorry, Jungkook. He held you tighter, one hand cradling your head. Shish. It's okay, he murmured, kissing your hair again and again. It's okay. Just rest here. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And he held you like that for a long time until your sobs subsided into a shaky breath. You were safe in his arm, but the terrible secret was still there, a wall of glass between you. You had his forgiveness, but you were further from the truth than ever. You walked into the university feeling different. You were nervous but also felt a mix of warmth and fear. Today was a different because Jungkook, your husband, was holding your hand. It was the first time he'd done this in months. His hand was warm and strong, and it made you feel a little better. You knew students were looking at you, whispering to each other. Everyone knew you were Professor John's wife, but they also knew he was strict and didn't show affection. But today he was holding your hand like it was normal. You saw two boys, Nick and Sam, watching you. They looked surprised and a bit unsure. Jungkook saw them too, and he looked back at them with a serious expression. He was sending a message. He's with you, and he won't let anyone hurt you. Jungkook kept walking. Holding your hand tightly, he leaned close to you and said, "See, nothing to be afraid of. But you're scared. You're scared of what might happen next." You looked up at Jungkook and saw that he was determined to protect you. He was like a shield, ready to keep you safe. The final bell of the day felt more like a reprieve than a release throughout your classes. You had noticed it, the distance. Nick and Sam weren't hovering near you like usual routines. They didn't try to catch your eye. A fragile, desperate hope bloomed in your chest. It because of Jungkook. You thought, he showed them he's with me. They're scared. The memory of his hand firmly holding yours in the crowded hallway felt like a shield. You believed with every fiber of your being that only Jungkook could protect you now. That's why you were waiting for him, leaning against the cool lockers in the now quiet hallway. You knew about the faculty meetings. That's why he's late. The silence was a blessing, the empty corridor a safe space. You just had to wait a little longer. He would come, you will go home with him, and you will be safe for one more night. The impact was sudden and hard against your back, knocking the air from your lungs in a painful gasp. Your entire body jolt forward, the sound of volleyball bouncing lazily on the polished floor echoed in the silence. Your blood ran cold. You could bring yourself to look behind you. The hallway had been empty a second ago. A hand tapped your shoulder. You flinched violently, spinning around and scrambling back until your back hit the solid wall. There was nowhere to run. Your worst fear was standing right in front of you, Nick and Sam, and the smirk on their faces were colder and more dangerous than before. "Bro, I'll look around." His voice was casual, like this was a routine operation. He walked down the hallway, playing lookout. Nick took a step closer, closing the distance you had tried to create. You pressed yourself harder against the wall, wishing you could melt into it. Your eyes darted towards the direction of the meeting room. "Jungkook, please come now." "So the chick is flying around now," he snarled, his voice low and menacing. "Thinking she can save herself from us, huh?" You found a shred of courage, a whisper of a threat. "Let me go. If Jungkook..." "Jungkook," he cut you off, laughing a harsh, ugly sound. "If Jungkook get to know, what will he do? He can't do anything. And what? You think we get scared just because you hold his hand?" He leaned in, his face inches from yours. "What a fool." You looked into his eyes, and what you saw made your hope shrivel and die. There was no fear, no shame, no regret, only cold, collecting anger. He was enjoying this. "Now listen to me carefully. Don't be over smart, because you don't know what I'll do after it." He glanced toward Jungkook's office. All the staff is in the meeting room. We heard there are hundreds of copies in his office. Go and take one right now. Tears of pure helpless well in your eyes, spilling over, tracing hot part down your cheeks. They were making you do it right now, the very thing you had been dreading. When you didn't move immediately, Nick's hand shot out, his finger digging into your arm like a vice. He shoved you roughly down the hallway towards Jungkook's office. Go, right now. Your steps were slow, heavy as if you were walking through wet cement. You could feel their eyes burning into your back from a distance, watching your every move. You were a puppet on their sting. You reached the office door, your hand trembling as you used the key Jungkook had given you, a sample of his trust that you were about to shatter. You stepped inside. In the meeting room, the meeting was finally over. The air was filled with the soft chatter of professors, satisfied with the plans for upcoming exams. Jungkook's proposal had been met with the particular praise. Excellent work, as always, Professor John, one of his colleagues said, clapping him on the shoulder. Jungkook offered a small, polite smile, but his mind was elsewhere. It was on you. Waiting in the hallway, he began to collecting his files and laptop, basically packing his bag. The head of the department, Mr. Park, approached him. His expression was kind but carried a note of caution. Professor John, a small matter. There's some student talking about how you were walking while holding your wife's hand this morning. There's nothing wrong in it. Of course she's your wife, but she's also your student in the university too. Perception is important. Jungkook nodded, his face a mask of calm professionalism. I know, sir. I know the rules. But there's something I want you to know as well. You know, I don't do anything without a reason. Mr. Park studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. Exactly, Professor John. Well, I know you will look after it. Have a good day. Jungkook gave a final nod and left the room alone in the corridor. He checked the time. It was later than he thought. The university was empty out. His usual energy replaced by an ever quiet. He quickened his pace, a nagging feeling of unease growing in his gut. He reached his office. The door was slightly unlocked. His brow frowned in confusion. How? Why? The only other person with the key was you. A wave of relief washed over him. She must be inside, waiting for me. He pushed the door open slowly. Ryan, I'm sorry I'm late. The words died in his throat. You were standing in the middle of the room, frozen like a statue, cuffed in a spotlight. In your trembling hand was a single stark white piece of paper. Your eyes were wide with sheer terror, but not being cuffed, it was a deeper, more primal fear. Jungkook's world slowed down. He walked inside, his movement deliberate, and closed the door behind him with a soft click. You took a step back. He didn't say a word. He just walked towards you, his eyes locked on the paper in your hand. Gently he took it from your numb fingers. He looked down and his heart stopped. It was a question paper for the upcoming final exam, the exam he had spent weeks preparing, the exam he was the lead professor for. He looked up at you, his expression a devastating mix of confusion, shock and a betrayal, so profound it stole his breath. He had trusted you, he had given you a key to his private space, his sanctuary, and you had used it to violate his professional image, to betray the very core of who he was. His eyes then darted up, instinctively, to the small, dark dome of the security camera in the corner of the room. The truth was recorded. Evidence of his wife's crime was now stored on a university server. Without a word, he placed the paper back on his desk. The action was calm, but the storm in his eyes was terrifying. He turned back to you, his jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might break. He grabbed your hand, his grip like an iron, and started walking, pulling you out of the office. He locked the door, his movement so sharp and angry, and then marched down the hallway, practically dragging you beside him. Tears streamed down your face, falling onto your clothes and the floor. You could feel his rage in the crushing pressure of his grip on your hand. A grip that tightened with every step. He was pulling you so fast you almost trembled. His silence was more frightening than any shout could ever be. He didn't stop until you reached his car. He opened the passenger door open, his movement rough and all, but pushed you inside. He slammed the door shut. The sound like a gunshot in a quiet parking lot. He walked around the front of the car, his outline a dark, furious shape, and got in.